the question is answered, as far as Chomsky is concerned, by a simple statement that the child, in a sense, already knows when it's born that you can't do a sentence like that. Now, this is why I'm saying this. This is the justification for what Chomsky meant. There is a formalism that is used in the study of syntax. There's a way of doing what we call treeing sentences. And I'm going to introduce you a little bit of this formalism, because it can show you the answer to the question as to how children seem to automatically know how to make the man who is tall is sad into a question. Now, the way that this tree system works is we can start with a basic difference between an entity and predication. Traditionally, this is called subject and predicate. So, for example, something like Bill, and that can be the entity, and then walked away can be the predication. Now, the way we do this is that the top node of the tree is rendered as an S for sentence, and then let's render our subject as an N and our predicate as a V, and put them under here like this. Now, a subject can consist of more than just a single noun. A noun can be modified by an adjective. Let's say our noun is cats, and then with adjective we can say black cat because my cat is black. Or the noun can have an article, and so let's try the black cat. And so the noun can take all of these modifiers. And so for this reason, we need our tree to be able to handle more than just a single noun alone, like Bill. And the way we handle this is that we specify it for this whole kind of nouny package. And that, in syntax, is called a noun phrase. And typically, we abbreviate that as NP. And so we have this NP here. Now, what's important is that you can take, for example, the tall man, and that's one kind of NP. Then you can take, say, the man. That's one kind of NP. Or you can replace the man with something like he. And so, for example, the tall man walked away, the man walked away, he walked away. It can be the tall man with the strange hat walked away. All of those things seem to have a certain common status. You can substitute one for the other. And that's why we think of this as being a noun phrase, even if it was just cats. The idea is that in cats, you've got other nodes within the noun phrase that happen to be unfilled. The noun phrase, because you have this kind of substitution and all these things have a certain status, that's called a constituent. And so we talk about more than just the fact that black is an adjective and cat is a noun. We talk about there being a noun phrase, which itself is a particular constituent. In the same way, if you look at a verb, typically in a sentence, then it will be followed by an object, for example, or it'll be followed by an adverb. So you'll have something like Bill saw Jim, or Bill walked slowly. Now, in Bill saw Jim, the way that we represent this in a tree is not simply to hang a verb underneath and then hang the other noun, which is, in this case, Jim, underneath, so that you've just got this kind of three-ball, kind of pawn shop symbol looking structure. We don't do it that way because actually there is a closer relationship between the verb and the object than, say, between the subject and the verb alone. And the way that we know this is because if you look at something like Bill saw Jim is a constituent too. It is a unit. And that's because saw Jim can be substituted for by other things. So Bill saw Jim, and Jill did too. Now the did is the substitution for saw Jim. There's no way that you can substitute for Bill saw just alone and leaving Jim by itself. So the idea is that with our verb, just like we have noun phrases, there's also a verb phrase, and that is typically abbreviated as a VP. And then under the verb phrase, the verb alone is one branch. And then, for example, in Bill saw Jim, you take Jim and hang that as a noun under our VP node. Now, the fact of the matter is that this object doesn't have to be just a single noun like cats or Jim either. This noun, this object can also be a full noun phrase itself. So, for example, you can have a tree of Bill saw the little man. And in this case, you have an NP, which was under our VP. And so you can see that in the diagram here. So all the nouns, in a sense, not just the subject, are potentially filled out VPs, all with the same potential branching into definite article and adjective and so on. Now, this is the crucial thing to see about the tree at this point, which is that the object NP, the one that is Jim, is lower in the tree than the subject NP. And so if we start with our S, and then we have our